Brilliant. So if you could just introduce yourself to me, so if you could say your name, position and your club.
I'm Jebb Sinclair. I play back row for London Irish.
How did you come around to playing back row? Is it something you did from a young age?
Yeah, straight away it was the first position I played, sort of 6'8", right from school days.
Okay, moving on from that, we're going to concentrate on you playing flanker. Which side do you prefer to play, 6 or 7?
Well, they both play both sides, but generally the 6 is the blind side and 7 is the open side. So I prefer 6 because it's just gives me a little less to do on scrums most days.
Let's break that a little bit more. What is the actual difference between a 6 and a 7?
6 is more of like a ball carrier and a banger, and a 7 sort of like chases, tends around and tries to get over the ball and slow the opposition team's ball down.
What is your job as a flanker then during the set pieces, so the scrum and the line out?
Usually in the lineup, the 6 is sort of your second primary jumper, so he's got to be quite aerial and have good hands. In the scrum, he just has to be like a strong scrummager and really help out the prop. And his sort of first job is scrumming, unlike the 7 who's trying to get away and try to put pressure on the 10. The 6 can sort of just scrum the whole time.
Opposite then, so what is your job as a flanker during open play?
I mean, again, just looking to get hands on the ball, get carries, make big tackles when in the opposition has the ball. The 6 is usually sort of your biggest, hardest tackler. Hopefully.
So, which side would you say is more difficult to play than, or are they both sort of equal in terms of difficulty?
No, it depends what kind of system your team is running. But I mean, these days they say there's not too many out-and-out 7s left, which is like the faster, sort of somewhat smaller guys who really harass 10s and really get over the ball. A lot of guys these days sort of can play both sides, but I'd say to be a genuine world-class 7 would be harder.
Being a forward, how do you balance technique with just sheer brute strength? Obviously you can't have one without the other. How do you balance the two?
I mean, the S&C guys, the strength and conditioning coaches, they've got the formula for that. They look after us that way, because obviously you can't be in the gym so much just putting on a whole lot of mass like the tight 5 guys. You got to stay somewhat mobile and lean and quick, because you're putting in the most miles and doing the most work. So you just have to listen to yourself, and some days if you feel sluggish and slow, or even it can go for weeks like that, you might have to say, I've got to lose a kilo or 2 or trim down because I'm not getting through the work like I used to do. So a lot of it is just a balance and knowing your body and listening to yourself.
How much of an advantage could a team get from over, say, your opposite man, if you're probably not as quick as he is, or you're a bit stronger but probably not as technical? Is it something that you can really, grill someone over? No,
I mean, again, it depends sort of what method your team is using. If you're a slow, agile guy, but your team likes to scrum and maul, then, you're probably not going to fit into the systems as well. Whereas if your team is, a ball-playing team and you're the link man, then being small and mobile will be better. So really it's horses for courses, and different players can, even just the weather can make it, better for you through the winter, but another player might, get better as the fields firm up.
What are the main attributes a player needs to play flanker effectively? So if he says you need this, and this, what would they be?
Physicality, work rate, toughness, just an ability to, put your head and body in places that it really shouldn't be. But yeah, those 3: work rate, physicality, and toughness.
Obviously, especially being a flanker, there's a lot of communication going on. Does your Gumshield affect your communication with people?
No, I mean, not if they're. Sometimes they get a little old and they get loose, and you end up spitting them out when you're yelling and stuff. But obviously, we get them custom made here every couple of months, so a new one doesn't really affect anything.
So on the side, does it affect your breathing at all? Because I've spoken to a couple of players who said it can,
I mean, I'm sure I probably had issues with it sort of 8-10 years ago when I started wearing them, but now I just put them in for everything. Even on a Monday when I know we're not doing when we're not going to do contact, I just leave it in because that's how I play a game, so that's how I'm going to train. So I've obviously trained my breathing and the way I move my mouth and talk with the mouth guard. So instead of just having it in when I do contact and then it feels really foreign during a game, I just have it in all week.
What's your training regime like then as a flanker? And is it specific to your position, how you train?
Yeah, I'd say the back five probably has pretty similar stuff. Gym on Monday and Tuesdays, full contact session on Tuesdays, Wednesday off, Thursday we do some power. The power day is the Thursday, that would be when we'd probably do more plyos and like Olympic lifts, whereas some of the props will still kind of lift fairly heavy because they'll want the strength for the weekend, whereas back row they don't really need to damage their muscles so much that late in the week.
Okay, opposite that, how does your diet go around this? Is there anything you're told you just completely cannot have?
No, I mean, you're pretty safe to eat anything you want sort of before 5 o'clock, especially on Mondays and Tuesdays early on in the week when you're still recovering from the Saturday game. You're just trying to get your glycogens back up and just trying to get the calorie intake. Obviously towards the end of the week you can sort of taper off some things, maybe some fats, but again, when you get in the middle of the season and you're just working so hard every day, we're not trying to be fitness models here. It's okay to carry an extra 1 or 2% fat as long as, a lot of it's just about feeling good. I'm not gonna, not have a pizza on a Wednesday to, make me feel better, to make me look better. Like if I'm having a down day and feeling off, if a can of Coke and a pot and a chocolate bar brings me around, I'll just eat it.
In an average week, how many calories would you say you eat a day, and sort of how many meals does that give you?
I don't know, we're probably up around like 32 to 45, like early in the week. I probably eat like 6 times a day. 3 big ones, 3 sort of small ones.
Do you have any exercises or program that's built around injury prevention, sort of around them key areas that rugby players tend to get injured?
Yeah, we do some like prehab stuff on like ankles, knees, lower back. Some guys do some shoulders. Just not too much, 5-10 minutes every day. Just do some stretching and some stabilization for certain parts.
Okay. So leading from that, how important is a warm-up and a cool-down to a player?
Well, I mean, I think a warm-up's everything. If you sort of stepped on the field and tried to go 100%, I imagine you'd tear pretty much every muscle in your lower body. Certainly when it's freezing cold out, and certainly, when you're probably, most of us are carrying injuries right from the first game all the way to the last game. So we all take a little different time to warm up. There's a lot of days where I don't even feel good until the last 5 minutes of the session, but that's just how it is, especially in the winter, and especially when it's rainy and dreary.
What's it like being on the side of the scrum? Is this still a unit feel since you are scrummaging and pushing, or is it a bit more detached since you're not actually part of, say, the tight 5?
No, I mean, the way it's gone now, scrummaging, certainly, it's an 8-man game. So if you're not scrummaging, your prop can really tell, and they'll give you a bollocking the next stoppage of play, or they'll sort of grab me and say, I need a little more, keep me in, keep me up. So yeah, you're still quite involved.
Moving on to the scrum laws, do you like the new scrum laws? Do you prefer them? And I think the better question is, do you think they're working?
I think, yeah, that they probably are working. I don't think as many scrums go down. Certainly not just where the way it used to go down, where they just hit and fold in. Now if they go down, it's usually someone's fault and they give it a free kick or a penalty, so it speeds it up that way. Otherwise, they don't really affect me too much, so I don't have too much to say on them.
Okay. As a flanker, what can you do when a scrum isn't going your way? So if you're being pushed back, is there anything you can do on your side to sort of stem you going backwards?
Well, I mean, certainly when you're on the right side, if there are guys trying to come around, we call it like tagging up. So it's where you sort of slip off your prop and drive your head into the opposing prop's like ribs and hip. Just try to keep them straight. Try to maybe pop them up. And if you're going to lose a scrum anyway, you might as well get a free shot on someone's ribs.
Fair enough then. And how do you mentally prepare yourself for a match? So let's say you're just in the changing room before you go out.
A lot of it is just like the technical part. I know the aggression and the physicality will be there. I just have to make sure I know my roles and jobs and the technical aspects. So I'm just thinking about, line outs and certain plays and my role through them, and making sure I get my head over the ball and telling myself to be disciplined and not give away any penalties, stuff like that.
Does your routine change between club and international level?
Only because internationally I'm more of like a leadership figure, so I'll probably be a little more vocal in the dressing room and try to get, making sure some of the young guys are maybe calmer if this is one of their first games, letting them know it's easy, motivating some other guys. Here it's sort of like, we've got the other guys who do the talking and the rah-rah stuff, and I just sort of try to play my part.
And last question. Who do you think are the best flankers in the world? So let's have a best 6 and a best 7, and why? What do you think makes them the best?
Best 6. Samu Manoa up at the Saints. He's having a pretty good last 18 months or so. He's playing some fantastic rugby. The best 7, probably Francois Louw down at Bath. He's pretty good. Garvey, my mate, he's a 6 down there. He's pretty good on his day. He looks like a prop though, so it's hard to miss him. Yeah, I think.
What makes them so good at what they do?
Well, Francois Louw is probably just the strongest guy over the ball in the league. Berger as well, Jacques Berger at Saracens. He's pretty damn good as well. Those guys, they're just reckless and get their head over the ball and slow down all your ball and make it really hard to play, and just they're little pests that sort of get in the way. And Manoa is just a destructive ball carrier and huge tackler, and every time he seems to have anytime he's around the ball or in the play, he seems to make something happen. So yeah, he's coming on.